Imagine a quiet autumn night in Connecticut. The year is 2011. The leaves are turning gold and crimson. Outside the gates of one of the most exclusive estates in Greenwich, a mansion so large it has its own zip code. Inside those marble walls, 92-year-old Eleanor Harrington lies in a custom hospital bed, surrounded by machines that whisper more softly than the nurses who tend her. She's the last living matriarch of the Harrington dynasty, a family whose name is carved into hospitals, universities, and half the skyscrapers in Manhattan. Her fortune is measured not in billions, but in generations of carefully hidden power. Yet on this night, her breathing is shallow, her skin almost translucent, and the only person holding her hand is a 29-year-old private nurse named Isabel Cruz. Isabel was hired 6 months earlier through an agency that serves only the ultra-high net worth families. She is good at disappearing into the background, good at being invisible, which is exactly what the Harringtons thought they were buying. But Isabel has a habit. She records everything. Little notes on her phone about medication times, about who visits, about the things whispered when the family thinks no one is listening. She tells herself it is for safety, for accuracy, in case lawyers ask questions later. She never imagines those notes will one day burn her life to the ground. The first strange thing happens in September. Eleanor starts talking in her sleep. Not gentle old lady dreams, but sharp, urgent sentences about a child, about a fire, about blood that can never be washed away. Isabel leans closer because the monitors are beeping wrong, and Eleanor's fingers dig into her wrist like claws. She says, "The baby didn't die. We paid them to say it did. We paid everyone." Isabel freezes. She has been trained never to react, never to show curiosity, but her heart slams against her ribs because Eleanor is looking straight at her with eyes suddenly clear, says, "You look like her. You look like the one we took." Then the old woman's grip loosens, and she slips back into silence as if nothing happened. Isabel tells herself it is dementia talking. Rich people lose their minds the same as everyone else. But the next week, Eleanor's eldest son, Preston Harrington, the 68-year-old chairman of the family empire, arrives with his lawyer. They close the bedroom door, but Isabel is changing the IV bag in the adjoining sitting room, and the baby monitor is still on. She hears Preston's voice, cold as winter, ask Mother, "Did you say anything to the new girl?" And the lawyer, "Calm her down if she starts again. We can't have another episode like 2008. Isabel's stomach turns because 2008 was the year a different nurse left this house and 2 weeks later drowned in her own bathtub, ruled accidental overdose. No note. The family sent flowers, white lilies that smelled like funerals for weeks. Isabel starts searching quietly at night on her phone using the guest Wi-Fi. She finds fragments, a birth certificate filed in 1959, in a small hospital that burned down in 1962, a death certificate for the same infant issued the same week, a trust fund established in 1980 for someone with the initials EMH who has never made no withdrawals. But the money keeps growing. There is a photograph from a 1960 society page showing a very young Eleanor cradling a baby at a christening. The caption calls the child a cousin visiting from Europe. But the baby's eyes are the exact shape as Preston's, as his sister Victoria's, as the grandson Miles, who is now running for Senate. Isabel's hands shake as she saves everything to an encrypted folder. She does not sleep anymore. She starts noticing how the other staff look away when the family visits, how the chef throws away entire trays of food if Eleanor so much as coughs near them, how the night security guard does rounds with a gun now when he never did before. One morning in October, Eleanor wakes up lucid and terrified. She pulls Isabel close and whispers, "My granddaughter is alive. They told the world she died in that car fire with her mother, but we took her. We hid her because her mother was nobody, a maid who thought she could climb. We paid the coroner, we paid the newspapers, we paid God. If you can get her back before I die, I will give you anything." Isabel feels the weight of 70 years of lies pressing down on that fragile body. She asks, "Where?" And Eleanor breathes a name. a town in Oregon, a family that suddenly became very rich in 1960. Then her eyes close and the machines scream. Isabel performs CPR, calls the code, the family arrives in private helicopters, but Eleanor is gone. Preston stands at the foot of the bed, dry-eyed, and says to the room, "She was confused at the end. We all heard it. Dementia talking." Then he looks straight at Isabel and smiles. The kind of smile that says, "I know you know, and there is nothing you can do." That night, Isabel drives home to her tiny apartment in Bridgeport, packs one bag, and disappears. She spends 3 weeks in a cheap motel piecing together the trail. Adoption papers forged under a judge who later retired to a Harrington-owned island. A trust officer found dead in his car, carbon monoxide, ruled suicide. A journalist who asked too many questions in 1985 and vanished during a hiking trip. Every road leads back to the same family. Every witness silenced with money or fear. But Isabel finds her. She is 52 now, married, with grown children, working as a librarian in a small town in Oregon. Her name is Emily, and she has her grandmother's eyes. The first time they speak on the phone, Emily laughs softly and says, "I always knew I was adopted, but I had good parents. I was happy." Then Isabel tells her the rest, and the line goes quiet for so long, Isabel thinks the call dropped. When Emily finally speaks, her voice is steady. "I don't want their money. I just want to know why they threw me away like trash." Isabel sends her everything, the recordings, the documents, the photograph of Eleanor holding her as a baby. She thinks that will be the end of it. She is wrong. 3 days later, federal agents knock on her motel door. They have a warrant for wire fraud, identity theft, extortion. The Harrington family has produced emails, supposedly from Isabel, demanding $10 million for her silence. The emails are perfect forgeries, down to the way she misspells definitely. The agents are polite, almost apologetic, but the charges carry 20 years. Isabel is arrested on live television. The headline reads, "Gold-digging nurse tried to blackmail America's most beloved dynasty." The Harringtons give a tearful press conference about how their poor mother was manipulated in her final days. Preston says, "We only wanted to protect her memory." Emily tries to speak out, posts the documents online, but within hours, every account is suspended, every server crashes, every news outlet suddenly discovers more important stories. Isabel sits in a federal detention center waiting for a trial that keeps getting delayed. Her public defender says the evidence is overwhelming. We should take a plea. She refuses because she knows if she pleads guilty, the story dies with her. One night, a guard slips her a burner phone. There's only one text from a blocked number. It says, "They're coming for you tonight. Burn this." She smashes the phone, flushes it piece by piece, and waits in the dark. At 3 a.m., the lights go out. Emergency alarms scream, guards running everywhere. In the chaos, a woman in an inmate uniform she has never seen before grabs her arm, whispers, "Follow me now." They move through corridors that shouldn't exist, downstairs that aren't on any map, into a laundry van that speeds away before the prison even knows she is gone. The woman driving is Emily. She says, "I sold the land my adoptive parents left me, hired people who still believe in truth. We're going to Canada tonight. Then somewhere they can never touch us." Isabel starts to cry for the first time in months, not because she is free, but because someone finally chose her over money. They cross the border at dawn, 2 women carrying nothing but the weight of what was stolen from them. Behind them, the Harrington Empire keeps shining, spotless, untouchable. America's royal family, grieving their matriarch, and warning the world about predators who prey on vulnerable elders. No one ever finds the offshore account where Eleanor transferred $200 million the day before she died. No one ever sees the new will that leaves everything to her only true grandchild. The money vanishes like smoke. The mansion in Greenwich is sold to a tech billionaire who tears it down to build something modern and clean. The newspapers call it the end of an era. They never mention the nurse who disappeared. They never mention the granddaughter who was never dead. Sometimes late at night, if you drive past the empty land where the Harrington Palace once stood, you might see a light moving through the trees. Just one small, steady glow, like someone carrying truth through the dark, refusing to let it die. And if you listen very carefully, you can almost hear a soft voice, the voice of a woman who gave up everything to return what was stolen, saying, "I was only there to heal, but some wounds are secrets, and some secrets will kill you before they let themselves be healed. Yet I am still here, and so is she. And that is the only victory they could not buy."